that was when they sort of said, we have found something on your chest. No one addressed this in A&E. It's a mass and it's quite large. And they sort of tiptoe around everything. It took me a while to drag the word mass out of her, then the size of it. And then, well, what am I facing? They don't use the word cancer, in my experience. No one has ever actually said to me the word cancer, which is strange.
Yeah. How did they break it?
Well, she sort of said, when I was pushing, I said, I'm sorry, I'm having a baby. Like, can you please explain what you're looking at here? She goes, it's a large mass. And I said, mass? And she was like, tumour. I was like, oh.
Hello and welcome to the Thrive Against Cancer podcast, where we give a voice to the cancer community. My name is Toby Freeman, founder and CEO of the Robin Cancer Trust, cancer advocate and your host. Every episode we will be hosting open and honest conversations with people affected by cancer, whether personally, as a family member, clinician or charities and organisations. We will be talking to the cancer community about the cancer community and all the things that are important to you. Our guest today was 23 and pregnant when she was diagnosed with primary mediastinal non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2022. She is now 25 years old and in remission since October 24. She shares her experiences online to raise awareness for others, as well as her experiences as a mother. Our guest today is Zoe Plastiras. Zoe, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
This is so exciting. So glad we're here and having this conversation in studio. So the floor is yours. Just tell us from wherever you want to start and we'll go through the whole thing.
I think I'll start from about a year prior to diagnosis. I felt like I was, like everything I wanted to do out of my life, I almost had ticked off before I was 21. I'm quite a planner. I like to work towards goals and I was doing it quite early. So one of my goals was to meet a partner that has the exact same ambition and direction as me. And I did. Right. I met my partner, Joe, at 20 years old and he was probably 24. We both wanted to buy a house together. So it was sort of going that way. So by the time I was 21, we had our house. The next step was baby. And I know that I'm probably one of the youngest people to say that that was my direction under 22, but that was what I wanted. So I was pregnant with my daughter at 22 years old. And honestly, by that point, everything was going so well. My pregnancy was unproblematic, all going fine, normal, I would say, until I got right at the end. So I was 32 weeks pregnant and I was working. And I was a bit like, oh, my breathing's really off. And I am a brow technician. And back then I was doing makeup. So on that day, I was doing makeup. And I was standing there, obviously doing somebody's makeup. And I felt like I couldn't stand, breathe and talk like all at once. It was so sudden. I was going up and down the stairs fine that morning. I was talking to that client. And I said to her, do you think I'm breathing funny, like at all? And she goes, oh, welcome to being pregnant, like you're right at the end now. And I was a bit like, no, do you know what? This feels really different. Like I carried really small as well. I had a small baby, so I didn't feel like I was like huffing and puffing all the time. So it was very sudden, very quick. I called 111. They told me that they wanted to call me an ambulance, and I thought it was a bit dramatic. So I went to A&E myself when I finished work later, and that was when they told me I had a 12-centimetre tumour in my chest. And at that point, you're sort of, I didn't really think of cancer, didn't go down that route. They didn't either. They obviously have their set of like diagnosis rules for when someone attends A&E with certain things. Yeah. And two of them on the list was cancer. And the other one was something I may have had from birth and just never knew it was there. So my head was going down that route. Yeah. I am not educated on cancer at all. I didn't realise that you could just be pregnant and have cancer, and like you start thinking, well, how did I get pregnant? But it's irrelevant. Like cancer and pregnancy can truly happen. And for some reason in my head, I was like, surely I'd struggle, surely I'd be ill all the time, this, that, and you're just not. So it was a huge shock, but I would say it was sort of educating my family more so that I struggled with. Once my daughter was out, which was perfectly fine. She was born early. She was healthy, all fine. I had a few weeks with her before I actually had my official diagnosis. Okay. Because when you're pregnant, you can't have PET scans, you can't have biopsies, you can't do anything. So they sort of wait for your baby to come out. and then you can get tested. So she was born October, and then I got diagnosed officially December 23rd, so 2 days before Christmas. And
so much to unpack, by the way, already.
It was very quick, but I took it head on. Like, I was like, as long as she's fine, I don't care. Like, we will deal with it once she's out. Once I knew she was fine, then I focused on myself, as well as obviously trying to be a new mum, which is a big battle. And when they say it takes a village to raise a baby, it takes double that when the mother has cancer. So it was sort of all very go, go, go. My mum was very much like, I think you better move back in with me. I think it's more of a mental thing as well as a physical thing. Like, you need extra support. You're not going to be able to look after a newborn baby when Joe's at work, my partner. So it was very much, right, move back into mum's house and start treatment in the January. But I found the worst part was, first of all, the timing because of Christmas and I'd just had a baby. But secondly, explaining it to everybody. Like, my dad was very much like confused. How have you got cancer? It's not in the family. And sort of being a bit like, Dad, this happens. It's real life. You don't have to have a genetic thing to have cancer. The same with pregnancy. People had so many questions about my pregnancy. They were like, did your pregnancy trigger this? And like, it was quite tough trying to explain to everyone how I got cancer and just simply saying, to be honest, it was shit luck. There doesn't have to be a reason. You have everyone go, did you get the COVID jabs? And do you know what? I didn't have any of them. And I had great satisfaction telling everybody I didn't have any of them. Because you have all of that as well. Like, oh, did you get the COVID jab? Could that have caused it? And I'm like, I actually can't be bothered to have this conversation. Can we just focus on the fact that I've been diagnosed with cancer and that's like the most important thing?
Everyone wants to search for this meaning and this causality. And
even now, I'll still get it. Or if I get chatting with somebody in real, like in person, and they'll say, the COVID jab, it's the first thing people ask them. So I found that in the beginning, the toughest, trying to educate everybody, bringing everyone back down to earth. Like, anyone can get cancer and this is happening. And we've just sort of all helped me in the situation now. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I'm just a bit blown away. There's so much to unpack there. Like, you've gone from 32 weeks pregnant, everything's going right, you're having the time of your life in the best way because this is all your plan, to, I mean, it's brilliant that you understood that something was wrong and we're not happy to just go, oh, probably just a bit of pregnancy, or you know, I'm just a bit tired today, which you easily could do. So listening to your body, brilliant. What happened at the doctors? You go in, you're pregnant, I'm feeling this way. Was this a really quick sort? I know they're going to look after you because you're pregnant. This quick turnaround.
So I went to A&E. I told them 111 wanted to call me an ambulance and I wasn't willing. I thought it was a waste of time. I'm just very breathless and I feel like I may have a bit of a positional cough. So it was almost like a pressure on the chest, which it obviously was. So they was like, okay, X-ray safe in pregnancy. And they were obviously doing chest up. They wasn't doing the baby. So it was fine. The chest X-ray was as clear as day, that there was a 12 centimetre mass on it. Funnily enough, they never show you though. So A&E actually sent me home and said, nothing wrong with the X-ray. There might be something slight on it, but it was a Saturday night. You'll have cardiology contact you on Monday just to have a follow-up.
There's no one in the building to have the conversation right now. Is basically.
So I sort of was like, oh, perfect. Like, there's nothing wrong. That's sort of how I took it. When he said slight abnormality, I obviously was thinking maybe something to do with the pregnancy. I did question him. I said, what do you mean, abnormality? That sounds dangerous. And he said, oh no, slight enlargement of the heart. That's what he said. But that could be down to you being pregnant. So I was like, okay.
You just take a doctor.
Go home.
Yeah.
No, the next day, it was Sunday, my phone was blasted with missed calls from the doctor on call that obviously revisited my X-ray. And he was like, where are you? What ward are you on? I said, I'm at home. I got sent home. No, you need to come back. How quick can you get here? So they sent me to my closest cardiology unit. It was literally 5 minutes from my address and it was on a Sunday. So we literally rushed there. And that was when they sort of said, we have found something on your chest. No one addressed this in A&E. It's a mass and it's quite large. And they sort of tiptoe around everything. It took me a while to drag the word mass out of her. Then the size of it. And then, well, what am I facing? They don't use the word cancer in my experience. No one has ever actually said to me the word cancer, which is strange.
Yeah. How did they break it?
Well, she sort of said, when I was pushing and pushing, I said, I'm sorry, I'm having a baby. Like, can you please explain what you're looking at here? She goes, it's a large mass. And I said, mass. And she was like, tumour. I was like, oh, that word sort of.
Then you're starting to go, tumour means cancer.
Yeah.
But they still haven't said it. We have the same thing with my brother.
It's so strange, isn't it? And then she sort of said, you're looking at lymphoma, teratoma, or something else. Oh, thymoma. All three of them words.
Just
what are those then?
Layman's terms, please.
I was thrown into the cancer world. I have no one in the family that I can go off. None of them I'd ever heard of. And I was just like, yeah, so what's that then? Thinking, oh, she's going to send me home with antibiotics. No. And then she sort of looked at me like, a bit like, and I was like, oh my God, is that cancer? And she was like, unfortunately, yeah, that's what they're going to be testing you for. But again, I shut off. I was like, well, you go to the hospital to rule out cancer. You're always going to be tested for cancer. Yes. If you go somewhere with an issue, that's what you're ruling out. So again, I was like, over my head. I sort of went home and then I think I started Googling it, which I personally think is the best thing I could do.
You are the first in all of our podcasts.
I know.
I have to say.
I know. Yeah. I think I learned that along the way. Everyone tells you, don't Google it. You're going to see the worst case scenario, which you are. But this is real life. You have to face some sort of fact. I'm not fussed on prognosis and all of that because you can beat that. And I know that if you had a worse prognosis and you're looking at that on Google, that would really mentally affect you. But I needed to know every single thing. And I researched all three of them, basically, until I knew exactly what one I had. And the one that I circled that I wanted out of all three, obviously was the teratoma is basically a lump of teeth and skin and something from a birth thing. So I was a bit like, well, that one would be maybe best case because it's not cancer, but you still need open chest surgery to remove it. So I wasn't looking at great options, but the one I wanted out of all of them was, I think it was actually not the one I had. I don't remember now. It's all coming back.
Horrible choice, isn't it? That you're picking.
Ridiculous.
Well, which is the best out of these?
I don't think it was the one I had actually, but they didn't believe I had lymphoma. Basically, all the medical professionals, they said I had a 1% chance of having that. You don't fit the brief, and obviously I did have it. So that was how it went.
You went through the rest of your pregnancy, if I get this right.
You got 5 weeks left from knowing there was something in the chest until she was born. Thinking,
okay, this could be getting worse. It could be growing.
Yes.
Trying to enjoy, in inverted commas, the rest of your pregnancy.
Yeah.
And then you have baby.
Yeah.
Joyous moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I imagine with a twinge of cool, but what's next? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
It's true.
I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
And then you're straight into the cancer world of, at that point, finding out, I imagine. Had they done biopsies or anything? I had
2 needle biopsies in the chest after Ophelia was born, which they couldn't even get a sample. Oh, thank you. They couldn't get a sample. So I had a VATS procedure where it's like you stay in hospital, you're under general. That was my first experience under general. And they basically go in from the side and take a chunk out of your tumour and test it.
Yeah.
I had that, I think, on the 19th of December. And then I was probably out by the 21st and then got the call from the surgeon on the 23rd saying, I've got good news. I was like, oh my God, I haven't got cancer. I've been worrying for nothing. He said, you don't have to have open chest surgery anymore. They basically thought, because I had 1% chance of having lymphoma, they thought, you've got thymoma cancer probably. And that's, I think most of the time, no chemo. It's major open chest surgery.
Right.
Literally open you up. You can't hold your baby. They were all going down that route with me. Yeah. So that's sort of what I thought I had. You don't have to have open chest surgery anymore. I said, oh, why? Because it's a lymphoma we're dealing with. I said, that's cancer, isn't it? He said,
laughing.
Yes, it was absolutely ridiculous, this phone call that I had with the surgeon. Yeah. I was like, that's cancer. He said, yes, but I don't think you realise the severity of how that open chest surgery was going to be for you. I think he thinks I downplayed it in my head that would have been the better option. But still, none of those options on the table is one I'm going to pick, really.
There's not a good news option here. Yeah.
So the good news opening of the phone call, I was like thinking I was in the clear of no cancer, basically. That didn't go down very well. After I got off the phone, I was like in shock at how the conversation went, not on what I'd just been told. I was more focused on like, how the hell have I just been told I've got cancer over the phone that way?
Yeah.
And this is on the 23rd of December, so they're all going off for Christmas. So I said, what stage am I? Am I going to die? What type of lymphoma? He's like, don't know anything yet. The biopsy needs longer to find your exact type. So enjoy your Christmas.
Yeah.
Ring you in
Merry
Jan.
Christmas.
Oh, no probs. Thank you very much. So that was how that went. And then you have to go and explain to everybody else and ruin everyone's Christmas pretty much. But by that point, I knew I had cancer. Like, Ophelia was born and it just took over my body. I had every symptom of lymphoma by that point. I lost loads of weight. I was really itchy at night, but a lot of mums were saying, oh my God, after a C-section, I was itchy. So they cross over.
Yeah.
So you have some people trying to be really positive for you, but then you have like, I need to face the facts. Like, I've got something in my chest. I'm looking, at not something great. So yeah, I sort of had to get everyone on board with, this is actually happening and I have to do chemotherapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot.
That is a lot.
It's a lot of pressure, I think, as a patient to have that responsibility to tell everybody what's now going to happen, because it affects everyone, not just me.
And it's the real light and shade against the backdrop of the pregnancy, and that's so that affects everyone, but in such a lovely way.
Yeah.
And then
you've got that
out of this. So we're into the new year.
Yes.
You're a new mum.
Yeah.
I imagine you're quite sleep deprived now. You've got all the symptoms of lymphoma as well.
Yeah.
Where does this take us through?
So I had chemotherapy from January 2023 to March. So I think it was 2 a month, every 14 days. Didn't have to stay in. So it was quite nice. I could go in for my chemo, come home to my baby. Even if I was ill, I was in the same house as her, wasn't staying in hospital. By this point, we'd moved back in with my mum. So the tumour went from 12 centimetres to 1 centimetre.
Wow.
It was literally amazing, but obviously not the best news I could hear, because they were like, it's still there. So I said, okay, what happens now? They said, at this stage, very normal, send you for radiotherapy. So by this point, again, I'm on Google doing my research, found out there's different types of radio. I found one that was more specific to your tumour without hitting all your other organs and everything around, because obviously mine's close to like the heart, everything.
Yes. Yeah.
It's called proton beam therapy, and you can only have it done in central London or Manchester, but you have to be accepted on it. So that was a whole ball game in itself, because you're sort of in a rush. You're like, do I just start the general one that they're just going to send me for, and maybe I'll start tomorrow, or do I fight for what I think is best for my health? So I did, and I got accepted on proton beam therapy, and I did that. I think it was 18 days in a row. I think it was July. So big gap from March to July. I felt better. Your hair starts growing back. No symptoms of the lymphoma because it was so small. It didn't really do anything. And then unfortunately that didn't work. But again, radiotherapy, they have to leave you 3 months, then scan you, because you can get a false positive.
Right.
So I finished in July, had to have a scan in October. So it's like, it was a lot of waiting. So yeah, again, your hair was still continuing to grow because radio wasn't doing anything to my hair. You feel better, you're getting your life back, stamina. That was probably one of the worst times where it really actually hit me, where I wanted to go and get the results by myself because I was conscious of the result being bad. And for some reason, I just wanted to have that moment to myself because I feel like I stay strong for everyone else's emotions. And I thought, whoever I take in there with me, I'm not going to react I'm not going to let it all out. It was the worst decision I probably ever could have made, not taking anybody, because it was really bad, actually. And I wish I had someone. When I looked my consultant in the face, I knew straight away, and they had a nurse there as well, so you sort of know they're there for support. Sometimes they're there anyway for good news, but, And he said, I'm so sorry, Zoe. Like, this is now out of my reach. I now need to send you to specialists in Oxford, so you're going to need more treatment. And I said, what treatment are you looking at? And he said, like, it's going to be a trial. And for some reason, the word trial just sounds like you're on your last legs, and it doesn't mean
feels hit and miss, though, doesn't it?
The word trial.
We're trying things.
Yeah,
I can understand that, yeah.
Trial. Honestly, I couldn't see out my eyes. I was so lightheaded. I had to lay down. I was crying, sobbing, looking at the screen. The tumour grew back up to 2.5 centimetres. So the radio must have kept it stable, or maybe it was so small. And then 3 months later, it's obviously had time to regrow. So I knew I was facing brutal stuff now, stem cell transplant, things, you know, things that are going to take time, that I'm going to be sat in hospital away from my child. So I found this out.
Was that a moment? Do you think you held it together a lot during that period as well? Because you're a new, forget the backdrop of being a new.
I know. I was
during
in such days, I feel like. When I look back at that first treatment, radiotherapy I found easy. I had no side effects. I was really lucky. They said I was going to be fatigued and I didn't even have that.
Yeah.
The chemo, obviously at the time, was really brutal, hard work, disgusting, everything you could possibly imagine. But it was 10 times easier than the next lot, basically. Yeah. So I sort of look back and I'm like, I must have just been so numb to everything that was happening that I just got on with it. I just did it every day. I was like, I have to do this. Like, I was honestly patting myself on the back for just walking down the stairs. And I was aware that that was like a huge milestone for a cancer patient. I wasn't hard on myself at all. I knew I had to do it because I was a new mum. It was my reason to do it and put up with all the shit of the treatment. But yeah, fast forward to the October and finding out you've literally failed everything that is now out of that consultant's depth and he's going to send me to someone a bit more specialist. That was really hard. And obviously I found out on my own, and again, getting in the car, driving, like through your tears, like trying to like focus. And then it's like sitting on your drive, waiting to go in.
To tell everyone that.
They were standing in the window like this. And I was like, oh no. Like, this is awful, having to explain this situation to everybody.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the worst news ever, to be honest. Out of all of it, that was the moment for me that I was like, fuck, this could get me now. I didn't believe it was going to get me. And then I was like, oh God, maybe I've been a bit naive here. But my cancer, from the research, 90% cure rate from chemo and radio. So I sat in that 10%, and then your prognosis just looks awful. And that's when I was like, maybe I shouldn't Google anymore. Google was helping me for a while. And then I was like, oh no. But no, what can you do? You have to keep going at that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
what did I do after? I'm trying to think.
So much. Yeah. So much.
October that was. Right. So that was October 2023. So a whole year of treatment, failed treatments. I think maybe from November and December, I think I met my new consultant, which was Oxford now. They're more specialist. They kind of give you someone that has experience in that cancer alone.
Yeah.
Loved that consultant. Met with him. They go through your options. By this point, I'm sort of very like standoffish. I felt like every time I met a consultant, I was excited to hear what's going to get me into remission. By this point, I was so like frustrated, like I don't care. Like I felt like I was coming across rude because I hated every option that they were bringing. You have these questions and they don't want to answer them because they're like, there's no point because you might not get there. And I'm like, no, I need to know everything. They're like, Zoe, focus on what we're looking at right this second. And I was like, I can't, because I did that in the beginning and look where I am now. So I was quite angry.
Which is your right, to be honest.
Yeah.
Acknowledge, you have the right to know as much as you want to know, right?
Yeah. And then you're going for another New Year's Eve because they weren't starting me until the January. There's a lot of prep to get you on to something. It was a trial, starting a chemo trial. So once again, January, I was in for chemo. January, February, March. That one, you have to stay in hospital. So that was tough. Worst chemo I've ever had. It was hell. I was so sick. They put you in rooms where you share rooms as well, which is horrible because you have the extra pressure of like, you're throwing up, you're this, you're that, and you've got this other person like just sat there in the same room as you with a little curtain. And I'm like having panic attacks, crying, this, that.
Yeah.
It was horrible. So that was probably the worst experience of my whole life. And they told me I had like a low chance of it even working. So yeah, but you have to do it to get put on to something else. It was like you have no choice but to do that to then get the next thing if you fail that. And I knew I was going to fail it because they told me basically everyone in that position will fail this to then get the next. But that's the NHS rules, so you have to just ride it.
The steps, yeah.
But I'd say as well in the gaps, Christmas was okay. I would get on with Christmas and I really enjoyed it. New Year's Eve was awful for me both times. Just knowing you're going to go into the new year starting chemo.
New year, new me has a different meaning when you've got a chemo backdrop.
I was like, I hate New Year's Eve. I never ever want to be involved in it. I remember the first New Year's Eve, I was standing there holding Ophelia, crying my eyes out by myself at the countdown, looking at the house opposite my mum's, and they were having a party downstairs, and I was watching them all cheer, and I was just like, get it together. Like, they're going through stuff as well. You just don't know it, because you sort of think everyone's like, you know, happy, not facing what I'm facing, but you don't know what they're going through.
You don't know, but that doesn't belittle what you're going through at all, does it?
It really got me though. I was watching their party. I was like, God, I'm literally standing here crying my eyes out watching you, because I'm about to start like the worst journey ever.
I think, have you reflected on this first year and a half, 2 years of motherhood? I'm sure you have lots. Just that backdrop of everything was in place, everything now completely, life just take this left turn.
Yeah.
And everything you're going through is against the backdrop of all the expectations that you had, right? And that juxtaposition of, you don't even know if you're, I imagine at this point, thinking, am I going to be here? Am I going to enjoy next year? Am I going to, Christmases have been shit, but at least I've been here for these Christmases.
Yeah.
That's so much to take on, the mental load of that.
Oh, and it's the mental battle.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing. You're battling with your thoughts, emotions every single day. One day you wake up and you think, this isn't going to get me and it's fine and I feel good today. And then the next day you're like, this is going to kill me, and like I need to think about all the things I want to be doing before it does. And like it's just, every day is a different mind game. And like you say, like you're dealing with the cancer and you're dealing with the fact you're a first-time mum and all those milestones with your child that you thought you were going to have. I didn't walk my child in a pram by myself until she was 6 months old, because I didn't have the strength. If I wanted to push my baby in a pram, someone else had to push her, and I had to just be there to feel like I was doing the mum things I was meant to be doing.
Did that add, can I ask, I've got 2 small children, I know.
Yes.
Somewhat of the experience of raising them. Not the mother's load, certainly. Was there a little like mum guilt that went along with that?
Yeah.
That's hard enough anyway.
I like to say I was lucky, but obviously I wasn't. I was lucky in the sense of my child didn't understand anything that was going on. Right. She was so young. And I took a lot of peace in that I could go to hospital and she's not crying for me. I had a very good baby. Even now she's 2 years old and I could still walk out the room and be like, bye, and she's so happy with like my mum or whoever. I was lucky. The age definitely helped, but obviously it didn't help me. So I knew she was fine, and she weren't thinking of me or anything, but I wasn't. I was missing everything. And just like simply looking back and knowing I put my baby in a pram myself and walked her when she was 6 months, like that's so late. Most mums are doing that within the first week. So it was a lot actually when I look back at what I missed or what was clouded. Because sometimes I did do things, but I felt ill. So it was a waste of time. It was like, I'm doing this because I feel like I have to, because I've just had a baby. Yeah. But actually, I just want to curl up in a ball and cry and go to bed.
Yeah. I don't think we should understate how much extra mental load that would add to doing something, let alone just going through everything you're going through. Because you have to, I imagine, you want to be selfless, but you also need to be selfish as a cancer patient to be able to get through any of this.
The sleep was really hard for me because I needed to sleep. I wanted to sleep. I also wanted to get up for her. And it was really hard. Like, I found myself getting anxiety before going to bed because I knew I was going to get woken up, which is then a knock-on effect of recovery. And in the beginning, I almost felt like I wasn't the mum that I thought I was going to be. But then I was like arguing myself. I was like, you're not the mum you wanted to be because you've got cancer. You didn't think you were going to be in this position. Like, I'm quite all right with getting up, running around, doing this, doing that. And then all of a sudden I'm not. And I found that really hard. And I started telling myself, maybe I shouldn't have been a mum. And maybe I'm just a terrible mum. Maybe I don't want to get up for my child. Maybe I'm just lazy. No, you're having chemotherapy and you're literally tired, ill, not sleeping, not eating. So it was a lot. That's why I'm sort of hopeful that in the future, maybe I'll get to have another baby without the cancer world and see truly what that new mum should have been and what I was going to be like. So I hold on to that now.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think the mental fortitude to have those conversations and pull yourself out of it. Shouldn't underplay that.
No. So once I'd done the trial, I failed it, obviously. And I was looking at stem cell transplant, which is something I really didn't want. I'm in a lot of lymphoma group chats, and a lot of them are Americans, so they have access to a lot of stuff. They have to pay for it, so, they're kind of ahead of us. And something came up about CAR T-cell therapy in these chats, and I was like, oh, what's that? Asked my consultant, and he said, in the UK, if you fail the stem cell transplant, you'll have access to CAR T-cell therapy.
Again, just steps on steps as you got to go through.
I'm like, stem cell transplant, I've got to fail that to do more. I'm like, no way. I draw the line here. So it was sort of like, well, do I have to do the stem cell transplant to get CAR T? He said, no. If your cancer is a small amount after the trial, you would go to the stem cell route. If it's too big, you would go to CAR T. So you'd go straight from the trial to CAR T. So I was like, I want my cancer to be big and grown. I want to absolutely fail this trial so I can get CAR T. How ridiculous is that?
That's a mad
I was
thought,
basically begging to still have cancer when I got scanned. It sort of turned on its head. It's like you go from, I hope this scan I'm cancer-free, to no, there needs to be cancer in the scan, otherwise I'm not going to get CAR T. So yeah, I failed the trial and I moved on to CAR T, which is what I wanted.
I don't know whether to say congratulations at this point.
My consultant said the exact same thing. He was like, I want to say it's bad news, but I think I know what you're going to say when I tell you what's happening next.
This is just the world of cancer that you just... People just don't know, do they? What a thing going into that meeting going, I want more cancer.
Yeah,
that
I was
a huge thing.
I have to have cancer on the scan, otherwise I won't get what I know is going to work for me. Again, it's like, it's research, speaking to other patients. I know it's not one size fits all, and maybe the stem cell would have worked for me, but he told me on paper 5% chance stem cell transplant working. So I was like, I'm not taking that. Whereas I think CAR T was a little bit higher, but less side effects, less toxic on the body, all these things. So I was like, that's what I want. So yeah, I got that. And there was a lot of prep to get me for CAR T.
And what is that exactly? Sorry, because I don't know that.
You go on the machine that you would do anyway to get your stem cells out. I don't know if you've seen that machine. I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, they harvest the stem cells out and then whiz it round.
So instead of them taking the stem cells out, they take... Oh, God.
Oh, sorry. If this is we don't need to
take some... Okay, they take some sort of cell out that they need. I don't remember if it's B or T or whatever. But they take the cells out that they need. They ship them off to Amsterdam and they generate themselves into CAR T cells, whatever that means. You then get your CAR T cells back. It's a 15-minute infusion in hospital. That's it. You stay in for 2 weeks and we watch what happens to you.
Okay.
So I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be... So I had to stay in for 2 weeks. So I thought, right, I'm having stuff done to me for 2 weeks. Like, no. You do 3 days of chemo to just knock your cells down, which was quite an easy chemo. It was light. It was all right. And then the T cells go in, and that's literally it. 15 minutes, and then you stay in for 2 weeks. And CAR T on paper is you have no side effects at all,
right?
Or you end up temporarily brain dead in ICU, and you're like, like really watched and this that. So I was like, oh my God, you're either that way or that way.
That was really, sorry, I'm sort of smiling because that was so extreme.
They give you these leaflets and it's like,
so scary.
We have to test your handwriting every day. We have to test your speech. And if we notice a difference, we rush you to ICU. And it doesn't mean you're going to end up in a coma or anything like this. We just need you there because CAR T, and they don't know why, common side effect is that it sort of messes with your brain and the way you talk and the way you think and all these things.
That's a big thing to be going
through. Big side effect. So that stressed me out when I got that. I was like, oh God, brain dead. What? And they was like, it's rare that you'd stay brain dead, but yes, you could be in a coma in ICU and this is really what can happen. And I was like, oh, I wanted this so bad, did I? Anyway, luckily for me, I had no side effects. I had minimal side effects. I was fine for 5 days. Felt nothing. I was almost anxious that I felt nothing.
I was saying, you're just waiting for the sword of Damocles to...
I was like, surely cancer treatment's meant to make me feel unwell if I know it's working or doing something. And they were like, absolutely not.
Little head fuck, isn't it? I feel so good. I don't think this is working because cancer treatment...
Yeah, I was like, I'm meant to be feeling something. They was like, honestly, no, it doesn't mean that. They said, if you had loads of side effects or none, this will still be working. Don't worry. It doesn't matter what you're sort of bringing to the table. So I was fine. And then it was sort of like day 5, day 6 and day 7, I think, that I was quite dehydrated. So I had to be on hydration drips. And with that came headaches, tiredness, because I was so dehydrated. And they said that's pretty normal for CAR T patients. Few like flu-like symptoms, but nothing crazy. I had visitors every single day, and I had CAR T in July, so it was good weather.
So I assumed you were in isolation during this period. But
I was in isolation, my own room, but I was allowed visitors as long as they were well.
Yes.
Also, it helped that we did it in July, so they weren't strict because I was taking my visitors outside in the hospital garden.
Nice.
It was honestly like a 2-star shit all-inclusive holiday. That's how I'd put it.
You'd take that for cancer therapy, wouldn't you?
Honestly, I was shocked. People were bringing me in, I'm Greek, so they were bringing me in like Greek food, like proper barbecues. We were in the garden. Like, I was like, I don't know how we haven't got kicked out. We're treating this like a holiday, like every day. Like, I was so with it and so fine. You do your 2 weeks in hospital, and then you do your 2 weeks nearby the hospital because you have to go in every day for checks.
Yeah.
That was harder for me than being in hospital for 2 weeks. I stayed in an Airbnb with my family for those 2 weeks. I was reunited with my child, and you think, oh, how could this get any worse? No, they put me on anti-seizure medication because, again, it can affect the brain, even though I was low risk for that because I dealt with CAR T so well. They still do it, and you're on high dose for anti-seizure meds. All of a sudden, my mental health plummeted. I found myself going quiet, didn't want to speak to anybody, didn't want to help with my child. I didn't want to do anything. I was snapping at everyone. I was shouting at everyone. I felt at a point that I was going to throw myself out of a window. And I said it to my consultant, and he goes, oh, it's your anti-seizure meds. They are known to cause like suicidal thoughts, like
goodness.
And they don't tell you that because they don't want to pre-tell you because it might not happen. And obviously, if they've pre-told you, you start playing on it a little bit. They need to organically know if that's happening. So I struggled a lot mentally, which you think would have been the easy part. It wasn't.
Did you have to stay on them as well?
I had to stay on them, and then I finally like fought with them on it. And they dropped me down and with the dose. And as soon as they halved the dose, that went away. So even the half dose helped. So I would say that was a huge, big thing. I didn't think about leaving CAR T and struggling. And I did because of those meds. But yeah, CAR T was a positive experience. Obviously, at that point, still not knowing if it had worked.
So what was the outcome of the CAR T? What was the outcome if it all went well?
So if it all went well, they want to keep you in remission for a year, and then they sort of sign you off, and they think after the year, you're probably like, they don't like to use the word cured, do they? But they're like, we think it wouldn't come back in your first year. Whereas if I was in remission from the chemotherapy, they would have said 5 years, we'll watch you. CAR T is more of like a...
So did CAR T get rid of the mass completely?
So I went into CAR T with, I think, a 6 centimetre mass. Maybe
so it's been
5.
growing.
It was growing.
Steadily.
They did put me on immunotherapy to bridge me, but I don't think it worked that well for me. 2 weeks in hospital, 2 weeks in the Airbnb. That day leaving the Airbnb, they PET scan you. So that's your 30-day scan. I went in for my 30-day scan results, and he was like, we're almost there. And I was looking at the scan, and I was like, that looks clear to me. And he was like, it's not. Like, it's actually not. But yes, this is the clearest scan you've ever had, because they usually light up red if you've got cancer. There was no red on this scan. It was green, slight bit orange.
Okay.
So he was like, the activity level's gone all the way down, but no, this is not 100% remission today. So the next step is 3 months later, we scan you, August, September. Oh, no, it'll be 2 months later. So that would be your 3-month scan post.
Okay. Yep.
So this was October just gone. I got my first infection from having a low immune system. I was so ill. I was on antibiotics, cough. It wasn't pneumonia, it was RSV. That was it. The one that newborn babies get. Yeah. And obviously I've got a newborn baby immune system, so it can be really dangerous. So I was very ill, actually. There was a lot of back and forth that week because I was ill. And I was meant to be getting my results on the Friday. And I think this was the Wednesday where my CAR-T nurse called me just to check in, like, how are you doing? I said, I'm really ill. This is like killing me. Like, feel terrible. She goes, well, I'm actually meeting with your consultant in a minute to find out your results because I'm on annual leave on Friday. So I won't be in the room with you. Do you want me to call you after? And I was like,
yes.
I can't say no now. I thought you were going to have to call me now. It would have been nice to find out in person, I think, because I waited so long for that moment.
Yeah.
Obviously, because I document it as well. I always film when I go to my consultants, and every time they say it's bad news, you turn it off, you're like, oh, whatever. But that was the moment I really wanted on camera.
Yeah.
So I still set up my little GoPro when I decided for her to call me. It was the longest 2-hour wait of my life. I said, when can you call me? And are you actually going to call me on that time? Because I will be literally sitting there like this on the phone. She goes, no, I'll call you. I didn't tell anybody. My child wasn't even there because I was really ill. So my mum didn't want her to get it. So my mum was like, do you know what? I'll take Ophelia, have the night off, just sleep. So I called Joe, my partner. What time are you home from work? 4:30. Okay. Kirsten was calling me at 4 p.m. So I was like, right, I can find out whatever this is and then surprise him. I'm waiting for the call. It's 4 o'clock, nothing. It gets to 5 minutes past 4, nothing. It gets to 10 minutes past 4. Joe's walking down the drive. I'm like, oh no, Joe, no. Anyway, so Joe runs in. He's about to go in the shower. I was like, no, Joe, you can't get in the shower. Okay, I wasn't going to tell you. I was going to find out myself, but Kirsten's about to call me with my results. He was like, what? I thought we were going on Friday. I said, I know, but irrelevant now. It's happening now. So she called me at 4:15. I got the whole thing on camera. And that's when she told me, finally, I was in remission. And it was the most amazing feeling.
Yeah.
No offense to my daughter, but that was the best feeling in the world. Was hearing, you're going to live, you're in remission.
Yeah.
Just breathe for a minute. That was the best news I've ever heard in my life. Best.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What a journey.
Yeah.
Like, I bet that was just the biggest release.
Oh, my God. Instantly, I was like, okay. I can just breathe for 1 second. She said, I can still keep your face-to-face appointment on Friday if you want to see your consultant. I said, yeah, do you know what? Keep it. I like to see my scans. I like to see that she's not got my scan mixed up, or like, I need to see it for myself. So me and Joe still went in on the Friday and met up with him. And he was like, absolutely gutted. I never got to tell you to your face. But obviously Kirsten, she's, you know, like, it's good that she got to tell you. He was almost like jealous. Like, I wanted to give you that news. Amazing. Yeah. I felt instant relief. I was worried I wouldn't, but I did. I felt instant relief.
I bet that was just... How's it been since that? How was that feeling? Because like, I imagine just the world opened back up for you. Did you...
Yeah, instantly. Because I had such an easy time with CAR-T, I was already like slowly going back to work by October. So my life was sort of starting to feel a bit normal. So once I found out, I actually had no thoughts of it ever returning. And a lot of cancer patients actually cannot relate to that, because every time I speak to cancer patients, they're like, it's my biggest fear every day that mine's going to come back. For some reason, I just grabbed it with 2 hands and I was like, I don't want to think about it ever again. I will tell my story. I will relate to every single person. But for me personally, I don't want to live my life worrying that that's going to happen to me again. I can't. Otherwise, it will consume me. So I honestly felt mentally pretty back to normal. My mum sort of came from a place like, you're still very bolshy and like angry. And I feel like you should talk to somebody like a counsellor, but I'm open to it and I would probably do it. But I feel like I'm such a I talk about it all the time. Anytime there's a problem, I don't keep it in, and I never did from day one cancer diagnosis. Anytime I felt a certain way, I was so honest. I felt like I did my own sort of counselling along the way, like just by talking to everyone,
talking therapy,
creating awareness online, talking with other people, other mums with cancer. I did myself a big favour with that. Instagram and TikTok. So
Yeah, can we dive into that? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
yeah.
When was the moment you started documenting where you thought, and what was the moment of, I need to document this? Where did that come from?
I got diagnosed, and I think within a week, 2 weeks, I was like looking on TikTok, Instagram for mums with cancer, and it was quite hard to find. And there was a few, but a lot of it was breast cancer. Breast cancer is a hormone cancer, so it's quite common in pregnancy. The two sort of go hand in hand. But I wanted to find someone with blood cancer in pregnancy, and it wasn't happening. I wasn't finding it. I created that Instagram page, and within minutes, like, I had a few hundred followers and a few DMs of people in the same position. The only thing I sort of struggled with was the age bracket I was in. So I was 22, 23 when diagnosed. Young Lives versus Cancer, obviously get in contact.
Yep.
Their job is for under 25-year-olds. Lovely team. They would come to my hospital bed and they would always help me. But I felt like I actually needed just over 25s. I was under 25 with a mortgage, a baby,
Yeah.
all these things that most under 25-year-olds don't have. I felt like I didn't fit with that charity of help, because I was like, I need my bills paid. I'm self-employed. Like, all these things that were out of my depth. So that Instagram page just opened me up to every single tick box that I needed in advice. So it was incredible. It was the best thing I ever did. And it's even led me to like paid jobs now from like in the cancer world, which is absolutely amazing, just to spread more awareness and also like get paid for that side of life. Like,
That's a win-win.
yeah. So, and I enjoy it. I would tell this story like over and over and over again, because it helps so many. And I was in that position where I was like needing to find someone with the exact type and was a mother and all these things that I was looking
and that's the thing. That we talk about this. There's themes in the cancer world that connect a lot of people, but every journey and story is so unique. And motherhood with the blood cancer is a sub of sub. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that you've created that because there was a need, which is what a lot of charities do, right? You start a charity because there's a need for it. And was it did you find it, how did you balance the, not obligation, but responsibility? Once you start, right, there's a responsibility to continue.
Yeah.
Totally authentic throughout all the goods and the bads. And how did that help, or was it hard at times as well?
Do you know what? It's funny. No one's actually asked me that. And you've taken me back to how I felt. I found it really like an inconvenience when I was in chemo. It was fine for all the prep, and I was answering every DM. I could personally DM everybody. Like, it was fine. And I was on top of it, and I was on top of my DMs, and I was treating it like it was a second job, that I had to do it. And I think Joe actually said to me, you don't have to do that. Like, it's not something you're obliged to do. Like,
right, because being a cancer patient's hard enough, being a mother's hard enough, and then you're like, now I've got second job on top of it.
I felt like, because I was getting in such amazing conversations and people were taking their time out to tell me their experience and help me, I felt like I also owed them the same back. And it worked for a while until that page got big. And now I've got over 2,000 unread messages on that page, and I physically cannot go through any of them anymore. And that was hard for me, because I liked to check up on people. I had a list in my notes of like the girls that I always was speaking to the most, to check up on them and see how they're doing, because they'd get lost in DMs and I'd forget. And my work is the same way, because I'm a beautician. I have the other Instagram page, work, where you're booking in all your clients, and it's like you've still got the same DMs. Like, it was tough. So there was a point where I was like, actually I can't reply anymore. And I was very honest on my story. Like, this page has got so big that I physically cannot anymore. So I do a lot of like, the ask me a question.
Yes.
Little thing on stories. And if anyone like really wants like my advice, or is in the same position as me that I was a year ago, and they want to get in contact, then sometimes I'll go back and like DM them after.
Or you could do a mass video to answer something, something like that.
Yeah. But it started going out of my depth because it got so big.
I imagine if, there's empathy and emotion that goes into those messages, right?
Yeah.
When you're going through a lot, you actually, I imagine, have to give quite a lot of yourself to those conversations. You don't want to be flippant, right? And be like,
no.
Yeah, don't worry. You want, I don't
Yeah.
sit with this. I need to think about this.
We'd be sending paragraphs.
Yeah.
Like replying to individual things that we're talking about. So it does take up a lot of time, and it was fine, like I said in the beginning. And then once I got ill, you just let it slip. And then the page got big. So then I was like, I can't even do it anymore. I actually cannot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you find it helped the documenting? Is it interesting looking back? Do you ever look back?
I do look back. I actually did document as well on film my CAR-T journey that I need to put together. And it's important because no one's really heard of CAR-T.
Yeah.
And I wanted that on YouTube, my experience. So people that are about to start it can search CAR-T, exactly what I was doing, trying to find videos, and there's nothing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create that. The same with the Instagram. I was documenting like first chemo, tick, wrote all my feelings about it in the caption, and people were messaging you, and like people's encouragement was like helping me as well, especially the girls that were like, well, even the men as well. It was both of them. Like we were all like in sync with each other, or someone would be like a few chemos ahead, and it's like, how are you feeling now? And it was just so helpful.
Yeah.
But I find the best interaction where I will read it is the comments on the posts that I will post, because then I can just see them. They're all there.
Yes.
And my followers are very interactive followers. They followed me for a reason. Like they all would DM me. So on the Instagram, I think I have about 7,000 followers, which is like a smaller account, but I would say every single one of them would respond to something I post.
It's about engagement, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, they just would. So yeah, comments I can interact with more now, which is nice.
That's amazing.
I know.
And what a lovely... That's not a nice time, but what a lovely thing for your daughter to be able to look back on and be like, this mum, I mean, I'd be pretty proud of my mum if she was like, raised me through all this as well.
I know,
nice
I know.
Historical thing.
I know. But it was also a big hats off to my mum, because she took on my family, me, Joe and Ophelia, and she was in a good position where she's self-employed as well. She does nails from home, so we have similar jobs. But her husband was in a position that she didn't have to work like to look after me, so it was fine. She hit well. Her and her husband, my stepdad, they both took us in, helped with everything. My sister also works from home. So she was there. My dad on the weekends when he wasn't at work, because that's the problem. Everyone's got work.
Well,
the world doesn't stop for me.
Doesn't stop turning. That's the problem.
Everybody's at work. You're sort of fighting over who's doing what. Well, I'm working from home that day and I've got a call. So can you do that? It was a lot of juggle, predominantly, is that the word? Predominantly on my mum.
Yeah.
She took on the whole world and still is. She still is my main childcare, because Ophelia's not in nursery yet. So it's my mum that takes it all on. So I know, hats off to her. And that was another hard thing for me. Like when everyone was saying, I can't believe you've got cancer, I said, me over my children any day. I don't care. And then I was thinking, well, I'm somebody's child.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's tough. Like it's just not lucky. But again, I was of age where I could understand what was happening. I couldn't imagine like a young child. But obviously my parents don't care how old I am. I'm still their child. So it was tough for them.
Yeah. Really difficult.
Yeah. My dad showed it more. My mum, not so much.
Just
she was more behind closed doors. I'd hear about my mum getting really upset about it. Whereas my dad, it was like on his face. Like he could not hide how miserable and depressed he was over me having cancer. It was amazing telling him, because he can let things eat him.
Right.
And like I say, it's on his face. So to tell him, I felt the relief. Whereas my mum, it's all like, everything's fine. I'll do that. Oh, sorry, don't worry about it. Oh, you go chemo and I'll sort the baby. Nothing. She didn't crack in front of me once. Yeah. So it was nice to have the balance though. Because if I lived with my dad every day and he was Debbie Downer, oh my God, I'd be like, Dad, pull yourself together, love. My partner was like that in the beginning. I didn't think I was going to be with Joe at the end, to be honest. That's another thing. It's hard on your relationship. He's obviously looking at me like, we just had a baby and you're really ill. What if you die? You don't know what he's thinking.
Terrifying.
Yeah. And he took it really bad. It was on his face. He was really on his face and he's really getting me down. I was like, Joe, everyone's being positive for me. I can't look you in the face every single day. I felt like he was so disconnected because that's just how he responded to it, and that's not his fault. I couldn't with him anymore. It got to the point where I think it was after radiotherapy where I was like, can you please get it together? Because I'm seriously like, I can't do it. You're in my space every day and you're just getting me down. We had a serious chat about it and he obviously admitted everything. It was like hours long for days, this conversation. Like we'd go to bed, he'd go to work, we'd pick it up again the next day. And he basically came around and was like, okay, I'm going to get my head in the game now. Once we found out I needed more treatment the next year, he was like, I'm going to be who you need. I'm not going to mope anymore. I'm just going to support you as much as I can. And he really did. He turned it around. I think it's a big shock. And not everybody's the same. And you have to remember that. I was getting annoyed because my family were being so positive. But that doesn't mean Joe can, you know?
Yeah, and everyone, we talk about grief quite a lot, and grief affects everyone in different ways.
Yeah.
And you have to go through your processes, but it has to be able to work for everyone.
He struggled a lot, which I always think if it was the other way around, I probably would as well. So I can't fault him for how he was.
No, well, all you can do is praise him for how he reacted.
Yeah.
Right?
He's been amazing. Like, since we had that chat, I just can't fault him. Even now, like, I'm 6 months post CAR T and I'm about 3 months remission. So it's still kind of early.
Yeah.
Even now, I'll struggle with a bit of fatigue. He's like, go lay down. I'll sort of feel you. I'm like, I'll play with her. I'll do this. I'll do that. He can do every job I can. I don't have to sort dinner for him when he walks through the door. I don't have to do, like, we have a very good balance. And I don't think we would have had that if I hadn't have been ill. I think he had to learn, actually, I've got to really take on a lot of the load because she can't do it all. And I am one of those I'm one of those people that just wants to do everything myself. So, yeah.
Release of power from your side.
Yeah, it was nice to learn that also.
Yeah.
Just letting him do it. And even if he's not doing it right, let him do it. He's doing it. So that's all that matters.
I'll advocate for that as well.
Yeah. So we've got a really great relationship now. And like we learned the hard way. So,
I mean, yeah, from experience, parenthood is in at the deep end. And then adding everything else in, forged in the fires, certainly. I think that you can only come out stronger. By the sounds of it at the end of it.
Yeah.
How has this shaped? You've gone through all of this at such a young age as well, and I have to admit, I keep forgetting, with respect, how young you are. No. And I know you've touched upon that. Yeah. You've gone through all this. Where are you now with living in remission and as motherhood? How do you feel like this whole thing has just shaped who you are and what you do?
I don't worry about much anymore. I do and I don't. I used to be an overthinker, over worrier, over planner, over everything. Now I'm just like, let it be. And again, speaking to other cancer patients, they're the opposite. They're like, I'm worse. I feel more anxious because I've seen what can happen, or I'm worried my cancer's going to come back. I'm just trying not to let that happen to me because it will happen at one point. I might have the flu and think, oh my God, my cancer's back. You're going to get a moment of like blip. I can't let it be like that every day. I don't know if my family beg to differ, but I feel like I'm calmer. Like, I'm still 100 miles per hour, loud, all these things.
Should we get Joe's opinion on that?
They'd all say, you're not calmer. But internally, I'm not rushing around my house like how I used to be. Things all in good time. And that's one thing I've sort of had to learn. I overstressed about my business. If I didn't work, they're all going to leave. I literally didn't work for ages and they've all come back and like my business is fine. Like, I bought a house at 21 years old because I was working 12 hours a day. I wasn't going out drinking with my friends. I wouldn't necessarily say I missed out on so much. It just wasn't me to do those things. But I was known as the boring one. Like, oh, she never gets drunk. She never comes on the girls' holidays, because I had a goal in mind. And I achieved it, but it's not the be all and end all. So I've learned now balance with work, being a mum. I don't need to put 100% in that and 100% in that. It's just going to change up. I was 100% in everything I was doing, and I just burnt myself out.
There's only 100% of you to go around.
Exactly. So it's just learning that, splitting your time. I'd say that's been the biggest eye opener for me. And I noticed a lot of like negativity.
Mm.
If someone was, this is a throwaway comment, but if someone wanted to have a baby at 15 years old, most people would go, why would they do that? They're going to throw their life away. I come from a point of view where I'm like, if that person wants to have a baby at 15 years old, why do we care? That's her baby. And look what happened to me. She'd be like, thank God I had my baby at 15 years old. Because that's how I feel about my daughter. Everyone thought, oh, you're so young. Like, you sure? Thank God. Because now I could be faced with fertility issues. You don't know. There's so many knock-on effects after cancer treatment. But I'm grateful that I had my child when I did.
Absolutely. Is there any long-term effects that you are living with that you want to talk about for people?
I'm struggling with my eyes at the moment. I've just been prescribed some glasses. Apparently that's really common. So that was number one. Number two, maybe a bit of like lightheadedness and fatigue. If I get a bit run down, I get lightheaded and I feel like I get a bit wobbly. That's all I've noticed so far. Low immune system, of course.
Yeah.
I feel like I could catch things quite instantly, but I'm getting
You obviously
better.
work quite close with a lot of people coming in.
Oh, yeah. I have to tell all my clients, even if you've got a cold, just don't come. I'm just going to move you. And they so understand. I've had my clients since I was 15. So you're talking 10 years now.
Yeah.
So they know the whole journey inside and out, which also helped having that Instagram page. I didn't feel like I had to explain myself over and over again. So what's happening now? When are you starting chemo? All my clients followed that page, friends and family. I had like half the explanation like to do for everybody. So
we've heard that quite a lot, actually. The ease of broadcasting rather than having 1,000 different conversations. You're like, it's just there. If you
some people don't agree with it. Some people think it's attention seeking or whatever they think. It was the best thing I ever did.
Time management.
It really was. It was so easy. If I had a problem with medication, I'd get comments of people like, I was on that one, don't take it or whatever. And then the same with your family. Everyone was up to date.
Yeah.
It was so easy that.
Yeah, it's like being able to broadcast everyone, but also in that same way have that mass peer-to-peer advice.
Yeah.
Instantaneously.
Yeah.
Problem, issue, like solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Do you feel like, I was going to say, do you feel like you're going to carry that on?
Yeah.
Do you still feel that's a big part of what you want to talk about? And is it, obviously, as you move out of treatment, is it now more
it's
about
recovery-based.
Recovery?
It's recovery-based. I think a lot of people think once you're in the clear, if you don't have experience with cancer or have know anybody, they're just like, oh, she's in the clear now. No. Yeah. There's a lot.
You're not in treatment, therefore it's over, right?
Yeah, I've been on medication. I'm not on any cancer medications. I'm on like antiviral medication to stop me getting certain pneumonias, this, that. So I still have a lot of checks at the hospital, blood tests. I'm doing fertility testing now because that's important to me. Yeah. Privately, I'm doing that though. I just want to...
Were you told about that? Was that an issue?
Again, it's a big thing in itself that IVF and all those things on the NHS, you can only have that on the NHS if you don't have children. So I've already got a child. So I'm already out of fertility help unless I pay for it. Right. But I'm sitting from a point of view where I have a low egg count for my age because of chemotherapy. Therefore, I wouldn't be eligible for IVF anyway, unless I wanted to chuck 10 grand down the drain, really. Because I did all that egg freezing during.
Right.
I raised the money on a GoFundMe, which was amazing. I was looking at 0 to 1 eggs, but I raised the money and I was like, I don't want to regret a thing. I'm just going to do it. Mm-hmm. I did make it to egg retrieval. They got 1 egg out and the egg gets mixed with your partner's sperm, but it has to last 5 days in a dish. If it lasts 5 days, they put it in the freezer and then you can have it for later.
Okay.
Mine only lasted 3 days and then it died. So I don't actually have any eggs in the freezer, but it's so fine. I don't regret trying.
No, not.
Because otherwise I'd look back and be like, oh, what if I did it then? So really, I'm not looking at much help unless I wanted to pay for it. I'm just doing it more because I like to take control of my health now. I'm like, why would I not spend £150 checking on my ovaries than when I would on a Saturday night out? Because I could spend that on food and whatever. Yeah. So it's just for my knowledge now. And yeah, for me, I don't think I'm going to go down any more like hormone injection route. But I document that. Just everything that comes with recovery. I was doing 1,000 steps a day on average for the last 2 years. I'm trying to do 10,000 now. Like even that, like just little things that you can update people on. is so helpful for the people that are behind you and are on their journey. And they're like, oh, look, she's 6 months out and her hair's growing back. And it's just nice for...
Well, it's what you were looking for, wasn't it? You were literally, you've just created
what I was looking for.
You were looking for, which I think is an amazing thing to do.
It just makes me so sad. Everyone's diagnosed like every second, like literally right now. So you don't know if someone's searching for your page and you've created that space. So it means a lot to me, actually. Like it's the most amazing community ever. And I've even met some of them that follow me, and then we're at the same hospital and they pull me aside. They're like, oh my God, I follow you on Instagram, and we get chatting and
quick little selfie in the
honestly, like I've met so many. And like I get stopped in the street now, people being like, I follow your journey. It's amazing because I feel like it's from the heart. It's not like I was just on TV doing something silly. And
it's very personal, I think this.
Yes.
As charities and organisations, we build, for want of a better term, a brand, and we offer services. But actually the influencer, again, for want of a better term, has such an amazing ability to be so personal. You know, for great good and occasionally bad in the world somewhere. But I think that real personal touch is so, so important.
I believe in it though. Like anyone with any trauma, story, disability, anything. I'm like, if you could be that person to just put it online, you do help way more people than you think.
Yeah, the power of human connection, isn't it? We're all on the phone, but actually the more vulnerability. Someone once said to me, your vulnerability on camera allows the watcher or the listener to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think it's that I'm doing this so that you know it's okay to do this in your own life or online. I think
and Instagram especially, like it has such a bad sort of name. Everything's so aesthetic. I felt like TikTok was more of my safe app. I could go on TikTok and cry and show what's happening right this second, but I would never post it on Instagram. Like it was such a like weird balance. I tried to make
Instagram versus reality, isn't it? The old adage.
Yeah, like my Instagram still has all the cancer journey on it, but like if something was happening to me in that moment and I was crying, I would go to TikTok and post it straight away. I wouldn't think twice. Like when I was growing up, I would sit and dissect like photos of myself with full load of makeup on, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's so horrible, delete it," or like a filter. And now I've posted myself bald, crying, no eyebrows, little bit of sprout granddad hair, all of that, and I don't care. I'm like, this is real life. Why are we? What? Who are we fooling exactly? Like
that's what people connect with. Ultimately, that's what they want.
It's so important. I'm so happy. I'm sure I'm not, but I'm just so happy to be known as like, that girl had cancer. I don't care. I love that. I think that's amazing because I'm standing up for the cancer community. I'm up for an award actually, which
tell us about it.
It literally will make me cry. They're called the Glow Mama Awards, so they're for mums.
Nice.
So every award is for a mum. So you have like best fashion mum, best this, best that. And someone DM'd me, and it was a few people actually, and I saw it and they said, I've put you up for this award. I voted for you. And I thought, oh, what is it? I clicked on it. And yeah, it's just like a huge mum award and people vote for who they want. And I ended up being a finalist for two of them, actually, not one, not two, for most inspiring mum and mum of the year.
That's incredible.
I was like,
how did that make you feel after everything?
I cried my eyes out. I was like, I don't feel like I'm standing up there alone. I'm standing up there for the cancer community. And there's also another girl that's up for the same awards as I am, and she's breast cancer. So I'm like, we're up there for all of us together. It's not about me individually. My story resonates with many, millions across the world. So if I won, I feel like I've won it for the cancer mums, really.
The cancer mums, all them out there.
But I'm there for the vibes. I can't wait to go.
Where is it? Is it
going to London.
When's it happening? Because
it's in March. I think maybe like the 15th.
That's going to be roughly around when I have no idea.
Okay.
It either will have happened or been close to happening at this point.
So we won't know if I've won or not by the time this is out. But
Schrödinger's award.
I'm going with my mum and my sister. I thought, how amazing! Like we did that together, and yeah, we'll go.
Well, you talk about a village as well supporting you. Your mum and your
Yes.
sister being able to enjoy that with you is
Exactly.
really special.
Because my mum was going, let Joe go with you. I said, no, this is Mum Awards.
He's not a
He's staying at home
We'll put
with
Joe
baby.
up for an award. It's fine.
I said, we'll go. You're a mum.
Yeah.
I'm doing that for you, hun. Yeah. If I win, she wins, really.
Like a nice full circle moment.
Yeah, I was like, definitely, let's do a girls' night. So yeah, us three are going together. Really excited.
Well, good luck.
Congrats. Yeah, and a good luck. Yeah,
Congrats on being a finalist. That's absolutely incredible.
I know, amazing. That's enough, really. Even to get voted on there, I was like, as if I'm going to be up there.
But it shows the difference, right? Doesn't it? You know, you're putting your story out there just authentically, and it's resonating so much with people.
I know.
And that's
that people think you deserve the award. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Is there any? Because we're going to start wrapping up. Yeah. Are there any organisations you do want to shout out? Anyone that's really helped you? Anyone?
So definitely Young Lives versus Cancer, because blood cancer in general is, I think they say, is under 25s. It's like one of the most common ages. They're amazing. They even visit hospitals and they'll order you like a Domino's if you want it to your hospital and like all these things. So love them. And my best friend is running for them in the marathon this year. I've also got a government petition out, obviously if you're a UK resident, to sign to bring CAR T therapy forward on the NHS. Because right now I think it's sort of like last resort. You have to fail this to get it, and I don't like that. My journey could have been halved in time if I was allowed it, maybe when I failed radio alone. So I'm about 8,000 signatures in.
Amazing.
And you need 10,000 signatures to get a response from the government. I'm very interested to get the response. So that's probably the only thing that I would say. Do your research on if it resonates with you and sign it if you believe it should be pushed forward.
Amazing. Where can people find that?
So on the government, what's it called? Government petitions, that's it. Google government petitions and type in CAR T and it will come up. Literally driving car, letter T, it will come up.
Brilliant.
And find it.
Where can people find you as well? Should we?
So TikTok is my full name, Zoe Plastiras, and Instagram is a mouthful. Lymphoma Awareness Zoe.
It's good that they made them so long now. Those were really short usernames.
I know. And part of me is like, should I be changing that soon so I can, I don't know, so it's shorter. But then if people search lymphoma, it will come up, which is what I want. So,
hey, it's working. So.
Yeah, it's just very long. And I watch people try and, how do you spell lymphoma?
Amazing. What we do with all of our guests, thank you so much.
Yes.
All of this. What we do with all of our guests is ask 5 quick fire questions. Okay. What advice would you give someone who's concerned they may have cancer?
Go to your GP. I get a lot of messages and I personally just want to reply like, I'm not a doctor. I don't want to give you any advice. Like, you have to go to a GP. Mine was a bit more dramatic of symptoms, so I had to go A&E. So if you're in that position, you just have to reach out to the right care, get the ball rolling to get checked out properly. Brilliant advice. Always the first step, just take some action. Yeah. Asking everybody if they've ever felt this way, that is just, no, it's not going to do anything. Real. What was the most impactful thing someone did for you after your diagnosis? Oh, impactful. There's probably been many, but I think just my mum being like with open arms, being like, you are going to live here. I don't care if I never work ever again. I'm going to look after you and I'm going to take this on. I think that I just always remember that being like, wow, okay. Like, and it was like seconds I was packing my bag and staying at my mum's house. I think that was huge. I didn't feel alone instantly because some people don't have family and don't have some local to take them on. So that was amazing. Mother's love. Yeah, just being like, oh my gosh, she wants me to live with her? Wow. Incredible. Shout out to your mum. Yeah. What's the worst thing someone said to you about having cancer? I'm not easily offended. But I think just asking about the COVID jab is really annoying, actually. Nothing really offends me because people are trying their best. They don't know what to say. And they're many times people say the wrong thing and stupid things. But trying to find a reason why I got diagnosed is really frustrating. And the same with when I say I want another baby and people go, but you had cancer in pregnancy before. Are you sure that's not going to trigger it again? No, I work with specialists. They've told me I'm fine and I can do it. So it's those annoying questions. That's what I would say probably would offend me. Yeah.
Almost feels like they're trying to blame. It's like a blame.
I roll. It's annoying.
What advice would you give to someone recently diagnosed with cancer?
Everybody's got Instagram. I mean, if you don't, I don't know what you're doing. Find someone in your position, because some people don't want to go public. Most people don't. But there is no harm in talking to someone, and I emphasize on your exact diagnosis, because everybody's cancer is different. There's no point you talking to somebody with a complete different cancer to you. There is, because you can mentally compare, but it's, if you want that comfort, that like reassurance, they're going to understand your medication, you're this, you're that. Finding somebody online with the exact cancer you've got is the best thing I ever did. Amazing. Best. Yeah.
Brilliant. And what's the biggest lesson you've learned from having cancer?
To slow down. Everyone gets caught up, like in work or sitting on your phone, scrolling. You can't like get out of this hole of like scrolling. I've sort of learned to just live in the moment. Nothing is ever that deep unless you're ill, really. So if you're not ill, take it. Grab life with both hands. You're going to laugh at me when I say this, but I used to find holidays really inconvenient.
Yeah.
Because I'm self-employed, that means I'm not getting paid. Yeah. So I would be like, oh, he wants to go on holiday. I don't want to book one. That means 2 weeks. Now I'm like, what a blessing that is, that I can go on holiday and I can just relax and rest. Never used to see it that way. So you sort of learn how to sort of be grateful for things that would go over your head before.
I think that's an amazing sentiment and an amazing way to end the podcast.
Aww.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everything you've shared with us, everything you do online.
Yes.
And just look forward to celebrating your journey with you as you move forward.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for listening, and thank you to our amazing supporters and funders who make this podcast happen. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a review and follow us on social media at Thrive Against Cancer. And be sure to check out our other episodes wherever you listen to your podcasts and on YouTube. If you want to help support our mission to give a voice to the cancer community, please contact us or visit our website to learn more at thriveagainstcancer.co.uk.